I'm Sam.
And I'm Greg.
We're human beings. And we like movies.
We'll be doing reviews of brand new releases,
Old classics,
entire sagas,
and even TV shows and video games.
This is Reaction Time. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 75 of Reaction Time Podcast. I am joined with Sam today, and we're going to be talking about A Quiet Place Day One.
Yes,
Directed by the guy who did Pig. I don't know his name.
And I don't know what that movie is. So here we are, starting off strong.
It's a Nicolas Cage movie that I heard is super amazing, so that's all I really know of this director.
Okay, that's fair.
So, you know.
Starring Lupita Nyong'o and Jeff Quinn?
Jeff Quinn?
Is his name
John
Jeff?
Quinn?
Uh-oh.
Jeff Quinn?
What do we think is his name?
Sam didn't do his research. It's all his fault. I've never done anything wrong.
His name is Joseph Quinn, just like I said.
Joseph Quinn. Yeah, same thing. Joseph Goldblum is also in this movie.
But I mean, yeah, it just came out.
Yep, just barely.
A week ago. I guess now at the time
this is
of release.
basically day one of the invasion in A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
So a huge full movie based off of the first 10 minutes of A Quiet Place Part 2.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess let's should we jump into what we think kind of? We're going to go spoiler free for a little bit.
Spoiler free.
Just in case y'all haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because it's new.
Yeah, it's brand new. Right off the bat, how do you feel about the first two Quiet Place movies, personally?
Okay, so quick story. The first Quiet Place, me and my wife went and saw in theaters, and I was super hyped for it. I love John Krasinski. We get there, we sit down, and this group of like 20 high schoolers comes in, and they sit down in the corner that's a little bit away from us, and they're just like talking, they're laughing, they're screaming, and we're like, oh, crap, you know, because it's supposed to be a quiet movie, right? Movie starts, and the lady behind us is like, oh, crap, I forgot to open my candy. And so she's like sitting there, you know, and like doing everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is literally going to be the worst thing ever, because I've heard from so many people, you got to have a quiet theater. Yeah. So we've got crazy high schoolers in the corner, crazy lady in the back trying to open her candy and eat her food. And as soon as the first kind of big thing happens in A Quiet Place, which is like 5-10 minutes into it, I kid you not, there was not a sound the rest of the movie. High schoolers didn't make a noise. The lady, I don't even think the lady ate her food. Like, I think I personally had a similar situation where I feel like I had a candy or something that was in a plastic wrapper, and I couldn't pull. Yeah. I can't pull one out. No, you cannot do it. And I think I had a cough during it, and I literally couldn't cough.
You just coughed inside.
My body was like, my body was like, no, I'm sorry, this isn't happening.
Nope, not today.
So, incredible movie experience.
Yeah.
Just shows how good that movie was. To me, honestly, that movie is probably a 10 out of 10 for me. Like, it's a pretty perfect movie for me.
Yeah.
The second one is pretty dang good. Not as good.
Yeah.
But I still really enjoy it. I'm very indifferent about this one.
This new one that came out?
Day one? Yeah. I understand it's day one. It's going to be louder, right? Which is fine. All the movies can't just be perfectly quiet. That's not what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I feel like this movie, the first one, there's so much tension. There's so much suspense. It's terrifying. You're on the edge of your seat the whole time. This one felt kind of like gimmicky jump scares rather than like pure tension.
Yeah.
There was a couple moments that was like, ooh, this is kind of crazy, but it never reached the height of the first or even the second one
Yeah.
at all for me. I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd ever see it again.
That's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. Because if the first one's like a 10 out of 10, the second one for me is probably like the 9.5, 9.6 realm.
Yeah.
This one, I'm feeling like a 7.4.
Yeah,
You
I
know
literally
where
was going to
it's-
say 7.4.
Nuh-uh,
it's
really?
not a 7.5.
It's not a 7.5.
$7.5.
There's it's very difficult because I was thinking about it and I was thinking, okay, so let's pretend these movies came out in chronological order, right? Let's say this is the first
Okay.
one that we see. Then maybe
Okay.
this movie is an 8.5, maybe high 8s.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's the first kind
Yeah.
of thing. But because the first two were so perfect, and especially the first one with how perfect of a movie that is,
Oh my gosh.
you have so much to live up to. And if you don't, even if you make a good movie, it's going to feel worse probably than it is
Right.
because you're just not, you're in the same realm, but you're not hitting the bar that has been set.
Right. A perfect example is Cars 2. Not a bad movie, but for Pixar,
Yeah.
it felt terrible,
Yeah.
right?
Which
It's
is
really
how-
not. It's a fun kids movie.
Which is how I do think a lot of Pixar sequels are like that. Not all of them, but I think there
Yeah.
are quite a few Pixar sequels that are good movies, but it's like the first one's just
yeah, and it's
it's
Pixar, so it
perfection.
feels like a bad movie.
exactly, yeah. But this is like better than a lot of movies. You know what I mean? But it's not.
Yeah. The story's very good.
The story is very good, but at the same time, I feel like they were completely unable to capture the care about the characters in the story that
Yep.
they were able to capture in the first one. Because the
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah,
first
100%.
the first two, I guess the first one, I mean, it's a family and you care about each individual person of that family, and immediately something bad happens to one of the family members, and then the whole
Yeah.
movie is just this tension with all of them, and you want them all to survive and all to succeed, and
Yep.
they're trying to figure out, how to stop these monsters, and one of them's deaf and they speak sign language, and there's all of these things that just really invest you into that. And this one was almost the complete opposite, although I do end up
Yeah.
feeling a little bit of it, but it's a little bit more sympathy and a little less empathy. It's a lot more like
Right.
I'm seeing it and like I get it, but I'm not feeling it with them. I don't feel like they're a part of me. And I think that's
Right.
I think that's the main thing actually that sets this movie at a lower kind of standard.
Well, you think of the first Quiet Place movie. I think there's 100 or less words spoken in that entire movie. And
wow.
and I mean literally the first time that I've watched it, and I think even another time that I've watched it since, when the super traumatic thing happens towards the end, I mean it literally gets you.
Yeah.
And there's no words. There's no the characters aren't telling you that they like each other or that they're going to miss each other or that they love each other. It's just portrayed.
Yeah.
And how well the music, the acting, the cinematography, all that kind of stuff, to where they can say 100 or less words. And it's like Up, right? It's the first 5 minutes of Up where you're like
Yeah.
bawling your eyes out when no words have been spoken between these two people pretty much. It's that same thing.
Yep.
And so you capture that and you do pretty good with the second one. And the hardest thing I think the other hardest thing that I had for me was this was day one, but it didn't really feel like day one.
No.
Like the first 10 minutes of A Quiet Place Part 2 felt way more intense and way more hectic and way
Yeah.
more crazy on the edge of my seat than this entire hour and 40-minute movie did.
And I'll talk way more about that when we get into spoilers, because I think that's my main reason for not loving this movie.
Yeah.
I liked it, but I didn't love it because, and maybe it's just that the name is misleading. But yeah, I've got some issues with it in that sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still think it's a fun movie to go watch because you do still get the Quiet Place movie experience. If you're lucky, you get a quiet theater and you get a little bit of tension and stuff like that. But it's harder when it's not the characters you normally care about.
Yeah. And they didn't make me care as much for them.
Yeah. And they couldn't.
So,
which again I'll explain.
No.
But yeah.
I mean, I would recommend it. It's still fun to go see. I'd recommend it in theaters, but just don't. I lower your expectations a little bit.
Yeah.
It's still a fun movie. It's not bad, but it's just don't go in expecting A Quiet Place Part 3. It's not. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Expect a spinoff.
You know what I mean?
Spinoff
where it's pretty grounded for being day one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super quick question. Are there any spinoffs that are as good or better than the original thing in TV or movie history?
Better Call Saul.
Good. Okay. I was just wondering. That might be the
Other
only
than that,
one.
probably not.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I haven't seen House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones, but I've heard it's been good so far.
Yeah. Okay. Anything
Acolyte.
else?
That's
No,
probably...
Stop. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. You got anything else spoiler free?
I don't think so, but I do have some spoiler stuff to say. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, if you're leaving, we'll catch you next episode. Watch it. Come back if you want to. Follow our X and YouTube and Spotify, Apple, all the fun stuff. And let's get into spoilers.
Yeah. Okay, before we jump into visuals, let me just give a very quick synopsis on why this movie didn't hit the way that I wanted to. It's basically, there's two parts. Part one is that because of the title of the movie, I think, and because of just the setting of it being a prequel, I thought that the whole movie would be, or not the whole even, but more than 5 minutes would be, and I knew it was set in New York, I thought it would be the chaos of the alien invasion in the loudest city in the world. And they just absolutely did not capture that almost at all for me. They did not do it. Well, they said
that at the beginning. They were like, New York City has an average of 90 decibels, which is basically a constant scream.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing that I wanted to see in day one, A Quiet Place, is them understanding and learning that they know that they are attracted by sound.
Yeah.
But as soon as the invasion starts, she gets knocked out, and then she wakes up and everybody's already figured it out.
And everybody knows, and they're flying helicopters around telling people. And so I was
like, you just skipped the whole part.
I was fully expecting a longer version of the beginning of part 2 in New York. You know what I mean? Because that scene at the beginning of part 2 is incredible.
Insane.
It's so good. Everything about it's great. And then, similar to the beginning of the first episode of The Last of Us, just that absolute chaos. And they they skipped it, which makes me so angry. All they did was they remade part 2 with different people, kind of. Like, they give you like a little bit at the beginning, and then they tell this confined story of a few people who are trying to stay quiet during the invasion. And it's like, I didn't want that's not what I wanted. I wanted the absolute chaos for like 90 minutes. Just they don't have any idea that it's sound. They keep thinking it's this thing or this thing, and the aliens are everywhere, and they're invading these buildings, and it's just like even at the beginning of the movie, they set it up being in New York, and it's like, oh man, it's gonna be
Yeah.
in New York. And then this movie could have been anywhere. Like they could have set it in rural
Yeah.
America again, and it wouldn't have felt any different. You know what I mean? Like
No.
New York did not end up playing a factor in this movie at all.
No, but they made it
Almost
seem
at
like it was
all.
going to.
Yeah, the only thing that really like played a factor was when all those people were walking toward wherever to get on the boat,
Which was the dumbest thing in the
which
entire
wasn't
world.
it was not good.
It was literally one of the dumbest writer directions you could ever choose.
Yeah, it was wrong.
They all know that they don't like sound, but we're all gonna walk together in the street.
Yeah, and we're just gonna drag
Why?
our feet and ride our things over glass.
Yeah, like what?
Yeah. So and then so that's my main issue. My secondary issue is that the characters are good, but there's no reason to even care about them. One of them's already dying and has no family.
Yep.
And everyone she even remotely loved dies at the beginning of the movie, right? So it's like it's just her, and she's already dying. So it's like there's no stakes, right?
Yeah.
If she gets killed
Yeah.
or dies from cancer, nobody's sad because she doesn't have anybody,
Okay.
right? And then this other
Yeah.
dude has nobody. His parents are in England, right? Where it's like
England.
okay,
Yeah.
sad, right? But I don't know them. I've never seen them. I don't know what their relationship is like.
No.
I don't know that he's trying to stay alive. You know what I mean? So it's these two single
just a guy.
people. And if they both die, it's like, oh, they killed the main characters. Crazy. But it's not like, dude, when John Krasinski dies,
Oh my
that's one of the
gosh.
most felt deaths in cinema history because of
100%.
everything that leads up to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so this movie would have been way better if even if they did everything the exact same, but instead the main characters were a family or even siblings. You know what I mean? Like even two siblings.
Right.
Or a couple.
Or even just had a reason to go somewhere.
Yeah, but instead she's like, I'm dying already. And he's like, I'm sad. I'm scared. I'm British. Let me hold your
I'm going to
cat.
follow you because I can, I guess.
Yeah.
Why did he follow her?
So I had no reason to care. And they do a good job with the story itself, and the end is super touching. It's really like
Yeah.
them in the bar and all of that or the jazz
Yeah, the magic
club or
trick
whatever.
scene. And
It's amazing. It's great.
Yeah.
My AirPod just died. But that's my big issue. Those are my two big issues, is that it's like it didn't do what I think everyone thought it was going to do, and they didn't make us care about the characters.
no.
So it could not succeed kind of from right when the explosion hits and she wakes up in that church. I think that's where the movie started to fail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
And it had a good, like you said, last act, I would say was
yeah,
really well done.
as far as story goes,
But-
yeah.
Yeah.
As far as
But,
horror
like,
and thriller, it wasn't great, but
No, it wasn't. And that was the thing. It was like they reverted to jump scares, which is why you already have the presence of silence that is terrifying in and of itself.
Yeah.
I don't need jump scares. Jump scares are gimmicky ways to scare people.
Yeah.
They're not true terror.
and
The-
that's why the first ones are so good, is because it's not a jump scare thing. It's the silence
No.
is the thing that is freaking you out the most.
It's a nail that you are sitting there terrified the whole movie that somebody is going to step on.
Yeah.
Where was the nail in this movie? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh no,
Like, and-
100%.
Come on.
Yeah.
It was so good. And I know it's a different director. I was so worried it was going to go in and be like, this feels like a cash grab. And I'm sad to say that it just felt like a cash grab.
Yeah. I think so
Like-
too.
Because literally, take this movie. What did we gain from this movie?
Literally
We
nothing.
gained
and you don't
one-
even have new
we
information.
gained one thing.
What do you have?
We gained one thing. They have weird pods that they rip open and eat, I guess. The
Okay.
creatures.
I thought it was an egg.
That was the weirdest. Was it an egg? But they were like,
I
it
don't
looked
know.
like they were eating it.
They were. I don't know. No,
That
see,
they're
we
younglings?
don't gain any new information
No.
at all.
And what was that?
It doesn't expand the universe at all.
It's just felt like making sequel bait right there. That's all
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the charm's gone. It's jump
Yeah.
scares rather than pure tension, pure horror, pure on the edge of your seat craziness. And yeah, it was very touching at the end, but like you said,
For what?
why did I care about either of them?
Yeah. One thing I said last night to Courtney is when you're watching a movie in a series, I feel like there's kind of two ways you can feel afterwards. And one of them is, wow, that was so good. It adds to the lore and the story and it expands and it does all this stuff.
Right.
And then the other way you can feel is, man, I wish it was like these movies.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. Now I do
Yeah.
not want to go back and see this. I want to go watch Quiet Place 1.
Right.
That's what I wanna do.
I literally told Lindsay that. I'm like, literally the entire time I was watching this movie, I just wanted to watch the first one again.
Yeah.
That was it. That was
Yeah.
it. I didn't want to watch it again. I just wanted to watch the first one.
You know what? This is not to make a meta office comment, but this is like when Dwight creates Megadesk when Jim is gone. And Jim comes back and he says he says he has to take it. And then Dwight says, getting hooked on Megadesk was my own damn fault. That is it's John Krasinski's fault. He made a perfect movie.
Uh-huh.
And so it's like, but then he made a near perfect second movie.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, you can't, nobody's ever done that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
No.
I mean, Harry
And I
Potter's
didn't need-
close, but
Yeah. I didn't need the second part. I'm glad we got it.
yeah.
But now it's like, okay, you're starting to taint the series as a whole.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, I would have been just fine with just the first one. Yes, did I want more? Of course, because it was that good. But was I super happy with how it ended?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
They figured out how to kill them. They were going to do a bunch of other stuff. We get the second one and it's like, okay, it just kind of moved the story along a little bit more. It honestly didn't do a whole lot either,
No.
other than
You find out they can't swim.
just they found out
And
they can't swim.
and the frequencies stuff, she figures that
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Like, and honestly, here's the thing. I think it's okay to end even an entire franchise making people want more. I think
Right.
that's a good sign. It's a good thing
That's a
because
good
then you
thing.
open up theories, you open up fan fiction, you open up all this kind of stuff. But when you do what this movie I think did, and just kind of like you said, it kind of taints it a little bit, and it
Yeah.
makes it less exciting and less unique and all this stuff. Then you're actually, I think, diminishing the brand as a whole,
Right.
which is obviously not what they're trying to do, but it is maybe just something to think about, when you're making a series or whatever.
But he's supposedly coming back for A Quiet Place Part 3.
Oh, really?
John Krasinski. Like
See, I
he's
love that.
gonna direct it again. I would too, but now I'm also like,
Yeah.
I know it's a different director, but it still was like,
Well, now you have
Okay.
your guard up a little bit. You know what I mean?
can we move on?
Yeah.
He's not gonna make another If because If didn't do well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like, I understand you make sequels to get money, that kind of stuff. I totally get it, but it's like, why can't we just be okay with a one and done? I mean, even you could even say it about Better Call Saul, but it was incredible, so it was worth it. But we didn't need Better Call Saul.
Yeah. we
Breaking
did.
Bad was perfect. Now that we've seen it,
Now that
of
we
course
see it, we know we
needed
needed it. Yeah.
Yeah, but before then we didn't need it.
No,
you
for
know.
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to jump into our ratings and
Yeah.
stuff? Okay. So if anybody's
Yeah.
joining us for the first time, we rank all of our movies out of 1,000 because even though we give our out of 10, Movies are worth more than 10 points. And so
Yep.
we have 5 categories: visuals, story, acting, score, and the overall vibe. And each of them are worth 200 points, giving us a grand total out of 1,000. So we'll
Yep.
go through each of those and give our takes on stuff.
Cool.
All right, what do you got for visuals?
I loved the first one that you see, and it's like you really see like they have teeth and stuff.
Mhm.
The one that's like after the first guy.
Yeah.
When it's moving its pieces around and everything and sound. I just
Yeah.
thought that was cool. Like I'm like, oh, these things eat things. You know, I guess I never really noticed in the other ones that they had teeth, but this one really showcased it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I like the first guy who gets pulled away. It's like him and then immediately the military lady or whatever. He he's walking down the phone. He's like, yeah, they just came out of nowhere. And then he just like disappears into the smoke. And then she's like, you need to get out of here now. And then she just like flies straight up. Like, oh, this is cool. So at that moment I was like, oh, this is going to be crazy. And then it wasn't.
And then she gets knocked unconscious and it just never see it again.
Yeah. No, literally. Yeah, that's it.
Then you just see them climbing in random places. Like, this is day one, and I feel like we had less of them than we did in the first 2 movies.
I would say there were more of them, but I would say they had
course.
less of a presence.
Right.
So,
There was more
yeah.
of them, but they were climbing over the buildings or they were falling from the glass, you
Yeah.
know, which was all cool stuff. I loved seeing them climbing up the buildings all insane. And when they were falling through the glass, I thought that was all cool.
Yeah.
But it was always like usually motion blur or it was very smoky for all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of Godzilla, the first new one, where it was like, oh, there's the creatures, now there's smoke, so you can't see anything. You're just going to see their shadow. And it's like,
It's
okay,
like VFX budget
this is-
much there?
This is cool,
Folks.
I guess.
Yeah.
If you don't have the money for it, then don't freaking do it.
Good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't say day 1, and then it's like, it's actually day 3 when everybody's already figured it out.
Yeah. That's true. They should have just called it Quiet Place Day 3.
This is just a quiet place, another story.
A quiet place. But not
We don't know
so
what it
quiet
is.
after all.
Yeah. So there's a couple more of my notes is them climbing on the buildings and falling
Yeah.
through the glass.
I thought it was cool watching them take down the bridges with the missiles.
Yeah.
I thought that was a well done visual effect, but also just a cool just thing that happened to try to
And
contain
fast.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that was like what, day 2 maybe?
yeah, probably.
Like, dang, that's crazy. I loved the one helicopter on the building that was just its propellers were slowly spinning.
Yeah,
I was
that
like,
was really cool.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It was really cool to see one of them drown. I thought that was an interesting touch because I don't think we've actually seen that.
No.
And so it chases
know
him
they don't
down
like
into
water.
the water, and then it was like just almost immediately drown, which is cool because it didn't drown in like the amount of time that a human would. It was like that it affects
Right, because it's
him
breathing in the
so
water.
much. Yeah, so that was cool.
Yeah. Because a human would hold their breath, right?
Right.
They don't know any better.
don't know how to do that.
They don't know any better. They don't know any better. They're just breathing. And so it like kind of tried to grab at them, and then it was like, actually, I'm dead.
Yeah. Yep.
We need a big trap over an ocean and just get a bunch of them and just
And just drop him in.
bye. I only have one more note. It's the very end.
Okay.
But I liked when she pulled the headphones out of the iPod.
Yeah.
And then to the beat of the music, the one creature came down.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
I thought that was really cool. That was a good end to
Yeah.
the movie.
It was a great end.
Yeah. This movie had a good ending overall
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. But so, okay. When he's in all of that scaffolding and he goes up to try to save the cat. and then he climbs up onto the thing to get the cat, and then the one alien just slowly comes up next to him. First of all, so much tension right there.
Oh, yeah.
But also,
yeah.
that alien just looked so good.
Yeah.
Like, so good. And I think
Yeah, it was
my big visual issue I think I'm going to have with this movie is that close up, the aliens, any close up shot of the aliens looked insane. So good.
Yeah.
And then most of the wide shots of them like climbing on the buildings looked rushed to me. The fake shadows
It
and
looked really
everything
bad.
and all of that did not look good.
No. It was cool to see them all climbing, but
yeah.
it didn't look good.
Yeah, the concepts were
Yeah.
cool, but the execution was like not very good.
No.
It was kind of weird. So yeah, not my favorite as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And then my last note.
And when they were
Oh, go
running
ahead.
and stuff, it was just kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just didn't do what the other ones did. My last note is when they go into the jazz club bar place and she puts her hand on the piano, that stressed me out so bad because I thought she was just going to be like, yeah, screw this, I'm going to die and like play notes. And she did it, but I was like, don't do it. So I'm glad she didn't.
She just starts playing the piano.
Right.
It's like, all right, this is how I'm going to die.
And I'm feeling good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have any other notes?
No,
What would you score it?
I don't have
Out of
any
200.
other. It's hard because, like you said, there was some parts where they looked really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it was just I hated the smoke. I hated the random things that just why, you know?
Yep.
If you don't have the budget, then don't do it.
Yeah.
So I'll do a 171
Okay.
because overall it looked good, it felt good. There are just some of those things that bugged me.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 176. I think this definitely had some of the best and some of the worst visuals in all of A Quiet Place. Like the close-ups were the best visual effects that has been done in A Quiet Place, and the wide shots is the absolute worst. I do think the cinematography was phenomenal as far as just shot choices, I guess, and filming and color and all of that. I think was really, really good. But then the smoke and the I don't know, just all the hiding.
See, I'd almost disagree about the color.
Really?
It felt so gray.
Well, okay, I get what you're
understand that they've
saying.
destroyed stuff, but why is it just gray?
I think it's because it's like at post
Not like the
9/11,
paint just goes
where
away.
It's like all of the dust and
Yeah.
I don't know.
It felt weird. It didn't feel like sets. It felt like a lot of the buildings that were broken were CGI. It didn't feel real for some reason.
Oh, you know
Like
what?
the big ones.
Hold on. Nope. I'm giving it a 169. I didn't write this down, but I forgot about a big issue I have with this. The post-apocalyptic destruction in the streets was terrible. Okay?
Yeah.
The cars are all flipped just upside down, which is like fine, whatever. But they're all perfectly pushed over to the side of the street. So there's always a perfect walkway. And then even on day 3 and 4, there are very, very small piles of metal or whatever that are just on fire.
On fire. Why?
Which is not how it works.
No.
That's not science in any way.
No.
You cannot just take a pile of metal and light it on fire and have it burn for a week. That is not
it
how this
doesn't.
works. So I have to take that down. But
if it's stone on a mountaintop, then it can burn.
yes, absolutely. Anything made of rock can burn. Watch episode 3 of The Acolyte. You'll get it.
On a mountain.
On a mountain, but no grass. Not a grassy mountain, not a foresty mountain. But,
yeah, I
so
forgot
those-
about the fire.
That I forgot about. I did not like. And I also did not like how contained this movie was because, like you said, it didn't feel like sets, but it felt like they locked down one street and they were
Yeah.
allowed to film on that one street. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they didn't move from there really.
No.
So yeah.
I'll bring mine down to a 166 because of the fire. Because
Okay.
that did bug me and I forgot about it.
Yeah. I did like, though, especially very post explosions and stuff, I liked that the ash and stuff was still falling. That was cool. It kind of looked like it was snowing and stuff, like, for a while. But yeah. Okay. So let's jump into our story here.
Right.
I think we've talked some about it, but what do you have for notes?
So my main notes are just random weird, like, why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
So, but my first one is her poem, "This Place is Shit" poem. That was top notch. That was funny.
Yeah. That was so good.
That was a great way to open that. Why did the guy turn off the generator? I understand that he didn't want the creature to come, but it's just going to destroy the generator and then walk away.
That's a good point.
Right? Like, it's not going to...
Yeah.
It's just going to go to the generator. That's not like it's going to hear something else.
I guess it's just the thought that he didn't want it to come near them, because then it's more likely to hear
But
somebody
it already
else.
heard it.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. That is dumb.
I don't know.
It was sad when he died, though. I liked him.
It was sad. The shirt ripped, dude.
You gotta be careful with them shirts. They'll rip on you.
R.I.P. shirt rip.
So, go ahead.
Okay, no, you go. Sorry.
I did not at all like that, and maybe you can correct me. Joseph Quinn, when he's introduced, he pops out of the water from the subway, which I thought was really cool. Okay, the idea of it, but he comes out like gasping as loud as somebody's ever gasped in their entire life, and he gasped for like a minute and a half, and then he didn't die.
Yeah. No.
And he was gasping louder than the water there.
I was going to say maybe the water was making noise, but not that much noise.
I was kind of paying attention to that, and I was like, he's the loudest thing here, so...
If anything,
that.
him jumping out of the water is all that noise, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, and I didn't write, that's literally all my story notes, but I didn't write down any other things, but I'm positive there were more examples of people making too much noise.
Right. Yes.
In A Quiet Place, in the first two, people are
Yeah.
not whispering to each other because they will die.
No.
And maybe, because you're in New York and there's a little bit more just overall noise of post-destruction-y type of stuff, maybe your whispers are, quieter than other stuff. Because in 1 and 2, they're in the middle of nowhere, right? There's essentially no noise unless there's a breeze or something. But,
Right.
yeah.
And my question to you, so I get the water, right? It makes loud noise, but why are like the fountains and waterfalls, why don't they do anything to them?
Like, why don't the creatures come for the noise?
Yeah, why don't they come for the fountains?
Maybe they have.
But why did they destroy the fountain? They
Or
come in and just
maybe-
wreck everything.
Maybe it's
Why is that
such a
fountain still going?
constant. Maybe it's a type of noise or a constant noise or something like that. I don't know. Right?
Well, 'cause
because in
that's what I was
theory, if that's
thinking.
the case, then when there's wind, they would just run and try to find the wind. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't
Right.
know.
Because that's what I was kind of thinking. If you think about like, if there's a humming from your generator or something and it kicks off, you notice that, but you don't notice the humming, right?
Right.
Because your body kind of just becomes accustomed to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking in that regard, they might have accustomed themselves to water and knowing that maybe water doesn't do anything. It was just weird that one fountain was like still up. It's like, why didn't they run and destroy it and then go do something else, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Those are things that I didn't look. I try not to think about too much. I think most movies have those types of plot holes, kind of where it's like,
Well,
what's that?
in the
You know what I
first one, does nobody snore? Like,
dude, yeah. Honestly,
I mean,
a good
I would be
question.
dead because I snore like crazy, you know? So it's like most
immediately
people
die.
snore pretty loud.
Courtney looks over at me. She goes, Winston would get us killed. I was like, yes, he
Uh-huh.
absolutely would.
That cat, I loved the cat, but it was not a real cat. There's no way that cat is not making some kind of
The
meow
cat did
or
not make
something.
one peep the entire movie.
No.
Can we talk about
No.
the cat for a second?
Okay.
Obviously, we love the cat, right?
Yes.
Just, it's a cat. It's a funny cat, kind of.
It's a cute cat.
Did you love the cat?
Did I love what?
The cat. Did you love the idea of the cat being such a main focus in the movie, the cat being the thing that always gets people in trouble? Did you like that was kind of their stress thing?
Yeah, kind of. It had its fun moments,
Yeah.
but it was so unrealistic.
So much of it was unrealistic. It kind of took me out of the movie.
Yeah.
It's like the cat would run off
100%.
for no reason, kind of sometimes, and then it would just come back and find her in New York City.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, and then it would and then it ran to the sequel bait where he went up the scaffolding and
yeah,
had all the bunch of them there with their little pods. It's like, oh, let's go over here so that we can make another one.
yeah. So yeah, I didn't like the cat being such a focal point of the movie.
Yeah.
Personally, I thought it was. From my perception, it felt weak as far as writing goes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we need this thing
Yeah.
that's gonna make everything scary, or whatever. I think they tried to make the cat their nail. You know what I mean? But it just
And they failed.
It didn't do it. You know,
No.
it didn't stress me out enough because everybody knows about the cat, right? The nail. It's like
Yeah.
you guys did it in the first one. Did they know about the nail?
No.
Yeah.
She's bringing up the laundry and it gets stuck on the
Oh,
nail on the
right,
stairs.
right.
And then it gets stuck straight up.
Yeah. Oh man.
And then
so
every time
good.
every time somebody goes up and down the stairs, you're like, the nail, and then they never get it. And then of course her being pregnant
Ugh.
steps on it.
That is.
And then even
such
after she
good
stepped on it,
suspense.
And even after she stepped on it, you still were worried somebody else was gonna step on it.
Uh-huh.
Because it's not like it was gone.
Oh man.
So good.
So another thing in this movie that I didn't love because they were already not nailing other things. They reused a ton of stuff from the other movies. So like the water being a cover for their sound. They replaced the
Right.
fireworks with thunder, which is like I like
Right.
some of the stuff that they did just from a story perspective, but it was just they were just copying the other movies.
Right.
So it didn't feel unique at all, you know?
No.
Yeah.
Nothing about this felt unique.
Yeah.
And most things just felt like they didn't think about it as much as they did in the first two.
Yeah.
Because like even when all of them crash into the glass building, how did they just outrun them?
That's what I was wondering is they all of these ones crash down and then they're kind of just gone.
They just kind of stand there and then all of a sudden they just start running, but it's like somewhere totally different or they
Yeah.
can't catch up to them.
Yeah.
They're insanely fast. I mean,
So
they literally
fast.
climb an entire building in like 3 seconds, but they can't go from
Yeah.
right here to right here.
Yeah. And then the scene with the where they go down like kind of the abandoned escalator down into the subway, you know, and that one follows them down. There's such a weird editing thing there where they're kind of getting backed down by the alien and they don't really like the alien doesn't know, but they kind of they're watching the alien and you're like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? And then it just kind of like cuts to the next scene. And I was like,
Yeah.
what the heck? There was no they just cut
Yeah.
they cut the tension completely and just moved on.
Yeah.
Which was super bizarre.
It felt like any time that the creatures heard a noise, they would go to it and then just be like, oh, I guess that wasn't anything, and then just walk away. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, it was
What are you talking about? They were relentless in the first one.
Yeah.
No. My only other thing that I've got is, because I already talked about everybody walking together as being super dumb. After that happens and the first creature attacks, she drops to the floor. I don't know if you've ever been in like a mosh pit, but you ain't dropping to the
No.
floor. You're going to die.
No way. Did she drop
How
on
did she
purpose,
not
though?
get I think she like fell, but then she just
Oh.
stays on the ground.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, you're going to get trampled and die. I'm sorry. But with
Yeah.
that many people on that street running crazily, nobody walked on her.
Yeah. I did not like that scene. At least the story of it.
No. It was so
It
dumb.
was weird, and it's also like this is New York.
Why did they all
right?
just come out together?
Where did they come from? And why are they
I
all on
don't
the exact
know.
same street?
And why are they all together?
None of it made sense.
None of it made sense.
There were too many people for it to just be a group that were hiding together. You know what I mean?
I know.
There's like 300 of them.
Yeah. At least.
It was such a weird. It was a weird scene. When they first start walking out, I
very,
was like, oh, this is
very
cool. And
weird.
then there were so many of them. And then they're all just like dragging their feet and making a ton of noise. And I was like, no, these people did not survive this long being that loud. So what's going on?
Yeah. And then it takes the creatures forever to get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
The last note that I've got is just the magic trick scene. That's a thumbs up.
The magic
Great
trick,
scene.
the pizza, that
Yeah.
whole ending scene where he kind of gives her this last hurrah is great.
Yeah.
It's the best part of the
Great.
movie.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, it's kind of the only good part of the movie. I mean, there's good little stuff, but it's really the
Yeah.
one part of the movie that's like, oh, this is good. You know?
Yeah. I like this
The only
one.
thing that really made me feel a lot, because there were some like tense moments, but the only one I can really even remember, and I saw this movie like 24 hours ago. The only thing I can really, really like remember is when he's on the scaffolding and that the alien comes up next to him. That's the one that I remember.
Because even the one in the subway where it's like on the roof coming to him, I didn't feel like tension though.
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, it was just, I don't know how they did it, but they literally made every moment feel like just another moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so
No.
the story, I'm going to give it a 99.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah, it is kind of that bad. For the ending, I'll give it a 110.
Okay. But overall, like story, the best thing I could call it is like sequel bait,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
It didn't feel ambitious in any way.
No.
So
No. It didn't.
when did the second one come out? Was that 21?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see.
Pretty close to that.
Let's see. Oh, it was 2020?
Okay, I was wondering if it was 2020.
When did it come out, though? Was it right after COVID? No
Well,
way.
I think it was-
It had its premiere the week before COVID?
Oh,
I did not remember that. I definitely saw
That's
it in
crazy.
theaters.
Yeah.
Weird. Oh, and
Crazy.
Part 3 is scheduled for release next year. Interesting.
Yeah, and it's John Krasinski, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And the kids in that movie are so good too. Okay, so
Yeah, they're
let's
really good.
talk about the acting.
The Octing.
Yeah.
Okay, main girl. What's her name again?
Lupita Nyong'o.
Fantastic.
Fan-freaking-tastic. Always has been good, as far as I know.
Yeah, her facial expressions and her eyes, my goodness.
She
I don't know how she does-
nails fear
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
well.
She's a 200.
Yeah,
Easy.
she's really good. Joseph Quinn does close to nothing for me. I don't know. There's something about him that maybe I just find bland.
He was just
I
there.
thought he was fun in Stranger Things, but I think that was just that they wrote his character fun, you know?
Yeah.
And then I guess that's all I've seen him in.
The problem is we saw, and this is a slight spoiler for Inside Out 2, but we saw Inside Out 2, and there's this really intense anxiety scene. So I'm coming from that, and then I'm watching the couple that he gives in this movie, and I was just like, okay, he's stressed out. Why? You know,
Yeah.
like it didn't. I didn't feel the anxiety, so I didn't. None of it was like. None of it stuck with me. I wasn't feeling that anxiety. I wasn't like breathing with him and being like, "Oh my gosh, there's so many of these things. This is insane. Everybody's gonna die." You know, it just didn't feel that way. So they just felt like a random thing they put in there to try and make it seem like he had anxiety, and it was like a fake tension. It was like, let's do this so people think that they need to have tension in this scene, even though there's nothing that's going on and there's no reason for it. I don't know.
Yeah. And then Alex Wolff, I think, was good. Her nurse. I like him. I think he did a good job.
Yeah.
And then freaking Jimon,
The one guy.
Soo, he was back, and he still is incapable of playing anything resembling a human being. He is AI. He is an actor, not an actor. He's a robot, and somebody input act like The Rock but smaller, and that is just what came out of this robot. Fully
the one that bashed the
incapable
guy's-
of just talking.
Is he the one that bashed the guy's head against the wall because he was screaming?
Yes.
I felt like he was like sad for doing that.
No, that was a good scene because he doesn't say words. When he's not saying words, he does a good job. He does. He's
Which is why
fine.
he's good.
But the second he
Which
talks,
is why he's good for A Quiet Place.
It's like he's just a military general all the time, and it's crazy. It is crazy. He's fine, but I think at this point he's becoming a kind of a joke to me. Whereas like every time I see him, honestly, like the character that's the most him is Shazam. You know, when I see him in Shazam, I'm like, that's what you are in real life, probably.
Yeah.
And that's how you play all of your characters. So I get it, you know?
The cat, Frodo, was two different cats called Schnitzel and Nico.
Really?
I saw that in the casting and I was like, Schnitzel and Nico.
Nico and Schnitzel. That's funny.
Just thought that was funny.
Huh.
So basically, she did amazing. The nurse guy was good. And everybody else was just there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I would agree.
So 200 for her, 180 for the other guy, and 66 for everybody else.
Okay. So what's your total then? If you average all that out.
If you average all that out, the 20,000 people that we saw in this movie times by 66, and you're going to divide by pi, then we're going to find the square root of that. I will do, this is high, I will do 181 because she did so well.
She did do very well, and she was the main character.
She did do really well. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's hard to give it less than that because she was so good.
Yeah.
You know,
she's the most part of it.
And nobody was terrible.
No.
I'll give it a 185, mostly because of her.
Okay.
And I do think he had some redeeming scenes, but overall was just not it for me.
Yeah.
And when he ran away from monsters, he did not look like he was running away from monsters.
No.
He looked like he was running away from like maybe like an assailant, like maybe a robber, but he's got like a one leg. So it's like not the most threatening thing on earth, you know?
He's like a salesperson.
He just didn't. Yeah, you're right, actually. Okay, let's jump into the score and sound of the movie.
Okay. So here's my other biggest issue that I had with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The first movie, the soundtrack is pretty close to perfect.
Absolutely.
It is so good. It's so intense. It's so beautiful when it has just the piano going that it just makes you feel everything, right? The magic trick scene music I thought was really good.
Yep.
And so it helped make me feel something during that scene where I was like, okay, I'm enjoying this. This is heartwarming. This is heartfelt. This feels good. Other than that, it was just music to me.
Yeah.
Nothing. The intense scenes did not feel intense because of the music, which is probably why I didn't feel as much tension during it, because it was just background music, copy paste tension music. It wasn't something different. It wasn't something original. You know, freaking Poor Things. The music in that was more unnerving and tension than this, and that movie wasn't even a tension movie.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So that the magic trick scene was good, and then the end song was great. I mean, but that's a good song, you know. But it was only played for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think that was the other really underwhelming thing for me. When you have something as silent as this movie is supposed to be, you need the visual and the sound to really, really come through to break that silence.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do it.
Yeah. I agree. I think, especially with the silence, I don't think they got that right. Like I never felt like it was quiet enough to be tense. There was always some sort of background noise that canceled out any possibility for tension. Even when he's on the scaffolding, if I'm remembering correctly, there was a lot of fire burning around them.
Yes.
And so it's like there's already all this noise. So I'm like, I'm not as worried. Whereas in the other movies, sometimes it is
You're being quiet because you feel you're in there.
Yeah, it is dead silent. And all you hear is the little... Courtney can do the noise, by the way. She can do that.
Oh, no.
But really, really fast.
That's amazing.
And I remember, I think it was after we saw the first one, we were like, where were we? I think maybe it was the first one or the second one. We were like laying in bed and it was dark. And we're just like laying there. And she started doing it. And I was like, I will actually kill you. But first of all, I feel like they really underutilized that just sound of the creatures. It only happened like once, really.
I know.
And it's so creepy. It's such a good sound.
It's so creepy.
And they didn't do it. And you always knew, you almost always knew where the monsters were, like all this different kind of stuff. And so, they didn't utilize silence. I think some of the music was pretty good. At the very beginning when she's on the bus, there was a really, really good song playing, like good score at that moment. And then towards the end, they did use a little clip of kind of that original song from the first one.
Yeah, it wasn't the same though.
But it wasn't the same. So music itself was like kind of iffy for me. And then the two sound things that I did think were cool, whether the story behind them were cool or not. One is after the explosion in the bus. She's kind of she gets up, or she gets out of the bus actually, and the only thing you can hear right off the bat is her. You can hear her breathing. You can hear her footsteps. That's all you can hear.
Right.
And I was like, oh, weird. And then really, really slowly you can hear the environment come in, but it's not like most, because a lot of movies do this where it's like, a good example is a lot of movies, you know, when there's like a flash grenade, right? You'll get that flash, you'll get that silence, and you'll kind of hear this muffled sound, and it'll build up, and it builds up pretty quick. But this one was
pretty quick.
Probably a couple minutes, or at least it felt that long.
Yeah.
That I thought was really cool and really well done because it wasn't silence. She could hear her footsteps and her breathing and that.
Right.
So that was like a cool contrast. And then the other thing was when there was that big, like the group of people walking down the street, it did get louder and louder and louder, and you kind of
Yeah.
it kind of got to the point where I was like, this is really loud, and then it just kept getting louder and louder, and I did think it was cool how they were just kind of turning the volume up, I guess. The scene was
And when they
dumb.
were going to like the suitcases being dragged and the guy like in the
Yeah.
wheelchair and stuff, that was cool because then it
Yes.
started to build that like tension.
Yeah.
But the whole time I was like, why is this even happening?
Yeah, the tension itself
ruined it
building
for me.
they were doing a good job with that, but the story behind it was stupid, so it kind of negated that a little
Yeah.
bit. So
I wanted the in the part 2, in the day 1, when all this stuff's happening, you have all this loud noise, and then it cuts to the girl, and it's just silence. Like, I wanted stuff like that where it was just so good. The lack of sound.
Yeah.
This did not do anything for me with the lack of
Yeah.
sound. It failed, and that's the whole point of this movie. I get that it's day 1; it's going to be louder, but
yeah, but it's literally
really
it's the
wasn't.
name of the movie.
it wasn't day 1. This is day 3, day 4.
Yeah. Well, no, even the main title of the movie, A Quiet Place.
A
they
Quiet
literally
Place.
named the movie for what they need it to be. Yeah. And then they didn't do either. They didn't do either part.
It's a loud.
It's a loud,
It's a loud
place,
place.
Day 3.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of upsetting. I guess this is a little more story, but I'm playing through my head like, okay, if this movie was better, what would it look like, right? And I think it would have been so much better. And I am jumping away from the sound here for a second because I have to say this. It would have been
good.
so much better if the first, I don't know, maybe you tell her little story at the beginning in the hospital, nursing home thing, place, whatever.
Right.
Tell that, and then when the invasion happens, it's maybe not a montage, but just cuts to a bunch of different places where these aliens are hitting in New York, right? Imagine one crashing into a Broadway theater, right? Just
right.
or next to a Broadway theater, and then the alien just jumps in, and all these people are on stage, and it's this production, and then they jump into
Right.
freaking Wall Street, and then they're,
Right.
in Chinatown, and they're like just.
Right.
I would have
right.
loved to see all these different environments that are super loud all the time. I would have liked to see a busy street. Like, because
Right.
New York traffic, right? I mean, it's bumper to bumper all the
yeah.
time, everywhere. I would have
Yeah.
loved to see one just drop down in the middle of that. Kind of like is it World War Z or is it? Well, I guess World War Z
yeah.
and I Am Legend both have a scenario similar to that, but I think it's World War Z that I'm thinking of, where you look in the rearview mirror and you see like the guy eating the other guy,
Yeah.
and then it would have been so cool to just see that happen in New York, but we didn't get to see it.
Yeah. And,
So,
and
that's
have
my
it
rant
like
again.
really like a more survival type show.
Yeah,
This didn't feel like survival. It was just like, and they just walked down the street. I mean, it wasn't like it was hard to get to their destination. It didn't feel like there was a hardship that they had to
Yeah.
cross. And also regards to a main character that it doesn't matter if she dies. She's dying
Yeah.
anyways. She's super close. I mean, she literally lived for a few more days, and she probably would have died another day after
Yeah.
that if she hadn't have sacrificed herself. But it was just like, why? What was the point?
Yeah.
Give me a story at the beginning, a little bit in depth about who this person is. Give me a reason to care about them. Invasion, day 1, montage of other places, and just chaos from beginning to end of just, I wanted the Bear episode 7,
yeah.
the whole movie.
They should have just one shot this movie, dude. That would have been incredible.
That would have been amazing. I don't even need the one shot. I just need
know.
that tension, that
Yeah.
constant, because that's what day 1 on an invasion is. It's just chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly start to figure out that, oh, these people, these creatures, they're attracted by sound. I wanted to see that. I understand that I know that already, but I want to see them figuring it out, Is somebody throwing a rock over somewhere and they're going over it? I wanted to see one get so close to somebody at the beginning and they just decide to shut up, and they're like, "Oh, huh. I wonder if that's what it is." You know, just something like that. But it was like day 1, 5 minutes. Oh, she's knocked out, and now they're gone. They're just
Yeah.
on the buildings, and they're running back and forth. I did think that was cool when the helicopter goes overhead, and then you hear all of them just running
Oh,
across, chasing the helicopters. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
But I just
Yeah. What are you going to give the score and the sound?
a 115. It's fine.
I'll give it a 128.
Okay.
Had some good stuff, but just bad on the silence front and lackluster on the alien sounds
Yeah.
and stuff. All right, Craig.
What are you doing for vibe, dude?
What am I doing for vibe?
Yeah.
Did I have fun? Yes. But I was
Yes.
thinking about the other movies basically the entire time, which is not a good sign.
Yeah. Nope.
And I think, like, if I had to jump on, if you're standing on a fence and one side is pleased and the other side is disappointed, I'd have to jump onto disappointed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was fun, but it was like, okay, I don't feel like I wasted my money, but would I have rather just gone and seen Inside Out 2 again? Yeah.
Here's the thing is, like, I'm really glad I went on a $5 Tuesday. And I shouldn't
Yeah,
feel like
exactly.
that. You know what I mean?
I'm glad that I used my birthday
Your
ticket
free
and
birthday
didn't spend
movie? Yeah.
I didn't spend any money on this movie.
Like, I would have spent $30 to go see Inside Out. I
Yeah.
spent $34 to go see freaking Madam Web, most expensive trip to the movies ever. Don't go on a freaking Saturday
Yeah.
and pay full price for tickets, folks, because it's expensive out there. What am I doing for vibe? I am
hard.
doing slightly over middle. I give it a 109. It lacked for me too much.
I think it lacked even more for me. The first one is such a good memory in my mind that this one hasn't tainted it, but it's like getting to that point where it was just like, why was this here? Why was it here?
Yeah.
I'll give it a 90.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair score. All right, here
It's
we go.
hard. Again, it's hard because I like, if somebody said, should I go see it? I'd probably tell them to go see it because it's still fun, but I'm going to tell them
Yeah.
to go see it on Tuesday.
Yeah, for sure. I would say, like, see this movie until Twisters comes out, and then don't worry
Yeah.
about it, and then go see Twisters, and then go see Deadpool.
Unless that's going to be hot garbage.
Oh, it's supposed to be hot garbage, though. That's the thing is, like, I'm fully expecting a cheesy remake of the 1996 hit film Twisters. You know what I mean?
The problem
sorry.
is Twister is so good, though.
It is, but it's... I think this is...
No, it's got a great story.
Sorry. I'm not talking about that movie. Twister is great. I think everybody's aware of what what Twisters is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a nostalgia pull. It's supposed to be kind of this. I don't know. It feels. You know what it feels like? It feels like. What am I thinking of? It feels like Grown-ups, like 3. What am I thinking of? There's some
There's only 2.
movie that the sequel's way
The
later.
second one was horrible.
This is what Twisters is. Twisters is Dumb and Dumber 2. It's the
but
nostalgia
that was
pull.
horrible.
That's what I'm saying, Craig. Is it's not supposed to be good. It's supposed to be a meme.
But I didn't enjoy Dumb and Dumber 2.
You're not gonna enjoy Twisters, buddy. Like,
Why do I want to go see it?
Because it's
you know what this
funny.
is?
Because we
No,
live
do you
in
know what this
in a
is?
society where we now do things ironically, even if they're expensive. You know what I mean?
No.
Like we're all
Do you
going
know
to
what
see
this is?
Twisters because it's funny to go watch it. I don't know.
This is A Quiet Place Day 1.
No, because we have
No, it is. No,
expectations.
No, this is just it's going to disappoint me and it's going to ruin the first movie.
But like, this is what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm going to go get a hot dog and a Slurpee. Then I'm going to go see Twisters. Then I'm going to go to Walmart and I'm going to look at all the lobsters in the tank. Okay. Because the year is 1996. And that is what is going on right now in the world. And maybe I'll get a Danimals and a Go-Gurt. And I'll ride
Good
my
luck getting a
Razor over to
Danimals.
my friend's house and we will play
Yeah.
Halo. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
it's supposed to just be an old.
No.
I don't know.
No.
Whatever. Anyway, we're way off topic now. Craig, what do
Yeah.
you think you gave the movie?
Ugh.
I'm going to say I gave it a 6.28.
Oh, that feels low.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe it's not. I think I gave it a 671.
You gave it a 662.
Ooh.
And I gave it a 690.
Dang.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean 7.4. It's pretty close.
Yeah. It's pretty close. So what do you think this is going to do box office wise?
Do you know anything about it?
No, I don't know anything about it at all, actually. I have not seen the opening weekend or anything. Have you seen anything?
I haven't either. Mm-mm.
Let me tell you the first box offices. So the first one did 341. And the second one did 297. So both about 300.
Okay. I was gonna say, dang, that's a lot lower, but it's because of
COVID.
COVID.
Doing 300 for when it came out is actually, I think, really respectable.
Oh, right.
Because I think in a regular world, that movie comes out and does 500
Yeah.
or close, you know. I think I've got a number for this guy.
I don't even know. It's hard because I'm trying to think of like. I'm trying to think of like, is this going to be one of those movies that a bunch of people just go and see because it's Quiet Place? It gets good enough word of mouth where they're like, oh yeah, it was fun. And it does like pretty dang well. Or is this going to be a movie that like opens pretty big and then just dies?
That's kind of what I'm expecting is a
Yeah.
decent amount of one-time viewers. You know, like a very short surge, but not even a big one, and then a steep drop off.
You got a number?
Uh-huh.
I definitely think for me, it's probably going to be the lowest.
Oh yeah.
Just how low, though? Low.
Okay, are you ready?
Low. Yeah.
Okay. I'll go first.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, 191.
211.
211. Okay, so we're close.
Yeah.
We're close on that number. I guess we shall see. Inside Out 2,
Yeah.
real quick. Let me just pull up that guy's box office. Yowza. I mean, dude, after freaking 4th of July and then next weekend, this movie's going to be just huge. It's at 1.073. right now.
Did I wonder if A Quiet Place beat Inside Out?
Oh, last weekend?
Yeah.
Are you looking it up?
Let's see. It opened to 99 million. It had the biggest domestic opening of the franchise.
It won by $4.4 million. Inside Out 2 did.
Okay.
It says it made $57.4 million last weekend, and Quiet Place did $53 million.
It's 4% higher than A Quiet Place Part 2
Okay.
in international. And then again, it had the biggest debut in domestic, but I really wonder how far it's going to tank.
Yeah. Yeah, so A Quiet
Or
Place
if
day
people are
one.
going to like it.
A Quiet Place is actually 109 right now, which is more than I
Yeah,
thought.
109. Yeah, but I mean, I wonder if it'll even double its money.
Yeah. That'll be interesting to know. And it had a budget of $67 million. Okay.
Okay, that's pretty respectable
Yeah.
for what they showed.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Okay.
That is that's all she wrote on A Quiet Place day one.
Yeah.
So go see it. Let us know what you think.
Go see us. Let us know what you think, and stay tuned for next week.
Yeah.
You want to do the bear?
Yeah. Yeah. If it gets watched
Okay.
by
Yeah.
us. I've slowed down a
That's
little
the
bit.
plan.
That's the plan. The plan's the bear next week, and then
if not, we can do Monkey Man.
yeah.
I do want to see that, but
Yeah.
okay.
All right,
Well-
bring us home.
Thank you all for. Whoa, your camera just got real close. Why did it do that?
I don't know.
Okay, that was weird. I'm just gonna send it
Send it.
because the last time I sent it, I did pretty good. Thank you all for joining us on another episode of Rabbits Escalating Articles. Can't type inside olives. Now tank tops.
Oh.
A new T word.
Oh, wow, tank top.
Now, tank tops is muscles. Exercising.
Oh, nice. I feel like we have to ban the word is on the last word.
I know, right?
Everything is something is doing something else, which makes no sense, but that is how it is. Okay, well,
Oh, man.
goodbye, everybody, and we will see you next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.